fans, so we're back with another 5 good things, and boy, did we do one of the hardest ones. Not in terms of coming up with 5 good things, but hardest to watch for us, primarily just because it hit us right in the childhood of, wow, this all went horribly wrong. And there's a lot of movies that could fit under this category, but Josh, now that you're actually back this time, what movie did we watch painfully?
Today we watched The Last Airbender, and
if you want to even call it that much. The Last Airbender is based off the hit Nickelodeon show Avatar: The Last Airbender, in which case the Avatar, Aang, comes back after being discovered by Sokka and Katara, 2 villagers from the ice/water tribe.
Southern
and basically he, for lack of a better term, can restore balance to the Force and make the Fire Nation go away. That's really, really layman's terms, but the show is absolutely fantastic. It was one of, if not the best shows that Nickelodeon has ever produced. And that's absolutely our bias coming through, but I've not heard a single person that does not like the show, except M. Night Shyamalan, apparently, as he just took a big dump on the entire franchise with this movie.
See, okay, as much as now that I've watched it a 3rd time, and we both made a very conscious effort to try to be as objective as we could.
It's worse.
It's so much worse than that, but I can see little things here and there where he was trying to get across what you see in the show. But it's just so Shyamalan all over the place. And
That's the key, is there are snippets. Little snippets that show, yes, a Last Airbender movie could be fantastic. This is not it.
Yes.
So, first of all, at number 5, we have certain fight scenes.
Yes.
As a whole, this movie is just awful, and the fighting is terrible. Yes. It's just a whole lot of this for...
I think my feelings on the bending are really just funneled down into that scene with the Earthbenders. And, Earthbending to me was one of the coolest parts of Avatar: The Last Airbender, because you could do so much with it. It was just, there was something really awesome to it. And, this was so...
It was tough to watch.
Oh.
There's certain parts of it that was yes, this is bending on a big screen, and they do it right. Their movements flow with what the element is doing at the time, and it was really cool to see that. But as a whole, it did not match that.
Yeah, and I think the moments in which when the bending does shine actually make you angry. Because your brain this whole time is trying to make sense of stuff and go, okay, well, they've got to do all this to do that. That's fine. Then all of a sudden, they go back to what it's supposed to look like, and your brain goes, no, you have to do all these movements first. You're not doing that right. And then your brain recorrects itself and says, no, that's what it's supposed to look like. And you go, but
the movie's
inconsistent. So inconsistent.
It's more or less, it's infuriating because it's 1, inconsistent, and 2, it shows the potential of what could have been, but really wasn't. At number 4, we have one that we typically use a lot for 5 good things because we're desperate to find something, but in this case, it actually really did shine throughout this whole movie, and that's the music. There are certain times that the scene was trying to be emotional or trying to be action-packed in its delivery, but it felt flat. But not for lack of trying. On the music's behalf, there are certain times in the fight scenes or where it's supposed to be emotional and bring a tear to your eye that it clearly doesn't because of the actors' performances. But the music is just this is really good, really moving.
I think the scene that pops to my mind that's an example of this is where the princess and Sokka, oh my gosh, the movie did it to me. This whole time we were yelling at the movie. That's not how you pronounce it. And now
every time it's
stuck in my head. Sokka and the princess are having that moment. From if you've seen the series where the princess has to make a very tough decision in order to save the entire planet.
She's more relevant to the movie than Aang, actually, when you think about it.
Yeah, the decision she has to make. Anyway, so her and Sokka. Yes, Sokka are having to make sure.
There you go.
Her and Sokka are having this really intimate moment, and the camera does really well. It's right there on their faces.
It's kid actors.
It's kids. They're being directed by I think that these actors aren't that bad. They're just Shyamalanized.
Well,
Katara, yeah. No, crybaby. But
Tobey Maguire's daughter.
Oh, God. The camera's right there, everything's set up, the dialogue falls flat. However, you still know what feelings you're supposed to be feeling in that scene because of the music.
It's really good. It's like, it makes the movie all that more infuriating of what could have been, because the music was just so on point.
Absolutely.
At number 3, this one may divide some people depending on how much you hate the movie, but
yes,
a lot of people that I've talked to would agree that Uncle Iroh and Prince Zuko, both the delivery of both those actors and the dynamic between the characters was brought to life incredibly well from the show. Uncle Iroh was always my favorite on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
And trying to be as objective as possible, he's probably the only redeemable character in this movie in terms of both giving good performance and being an all-around good guy, not really whining or complaining like everybody else.
Zuko is not bad either.
Could have been better, but it's not the actor's fault.
It's not the actor's fault. You could definitely tell he's actually legitimately trying. Like in the scene where he asks the kid, what do you know about the Prince of the Fire Nation? Like that scene, the guy who's playing Zuko really shines. There's that moment where he's reminded of what happened to him and what his father did to him, and you can see it in his face.
At his core, Zuko is an incredibly sympathetic character, and the actor really tried to make that shine through, but the script would not allow him, but didn't mean he wasn't still trying. And him and Iroh always had this really good and complex relationship on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Yet, they somehow managed to portray at least part of that on the screen.
A little bit, yeah.
Like, not really a father-son, but a mentor.
Definitely mentor and student kind of, especially when towards the end when he General Zhao? Not Zhao.
Yeah,
is it
Zhao?
Yeah. He's acting like he's afraid of Zuko, and just to make Zuko fight him, and Iroh's like, no, he just wants to fight you so he can take you back to your father and have you killed. Like, don't do that.
Iroh's probably at this point in both the movie franchise and if it's trying to reflect the TV franchise, he's the only one that cares about Zuko.
Yeah.
But essentially, in terms of his arc later on, Iroh's incredibly important for Zuko to become the man that he needs to be. And
Absolutely.
so it's really critical that you get Iroh and Zuko's relationship right. And despite the fact that the script was incredibly lackluster for this movie, both those respectable actors really try to encapsulate that relationship. Really I don't know if they knew the source material, but it felt like they were really trying to get this emotion across, but the script would not allow them.
I would agree. It definitely felt like if they didn't know what their characters, the characters from the show were feeling, they knew what their characters in the movie were supposed to feel.
Yes.
Which is, to me, as big of a fan as I am of the show, I prefer the characters in the movie know what they're supposed to be feeling, rather than being like, well, in the show I felt this, so I need to feel this now.
Yes.
And more of my character is feeling this emotion in this scene, and so it reflects the movie rather than the show.
At number 2, we have the creature designs. We have a couple different ones, but all of them really mirrored their source material incredibly well. The first thing we saw was Appa, his flying bison. Flying Bison, if we want to give him a nickname.
Yes.
And then Momo, his lemur bat. Or the thing that basically looked like a giant ripoff from Star Wars, the Dewbacks. It looked like a Dewback ripoff a bit. We called it out on it when we watched it. But overall, the creature designs, I was like, this is ripped from the show, so why couldn't you do it for everything else?
I think the only thing, because they look amazing, and you look
detailed too.
Oh my goodness! And like Appa's face, you could tell they were going to try to do some stuff with him, because in the show he has such some emotional moments with Aang, and there was never a time where we saw his face. Now that might have been because CGI and budget and Shyamalan.
That's the weird thing to me is the CGI for both Momo and Appa were spectacular. They looked real, but they were barely in the movie.
Oh, barely.
So why'd you spend so much money and time into this? Like, hair is one of the hardest things to animate, whether it's in video games or movies. Yeah. Both are covered in it and done incredibly well.
Appa's hair is amazing.
Especially, he's got a couple scenes where he's got wet hair, and that's really hard to do.
His tail looks amazing too. It functions exactly how you'd expect it to in a real life scenario.
But it's a question of, they looked fantastic. why are they in such a limited capacity in this movie? Making it just seem, okay, you knew this. Whoever your overall, like, your eye man, basically, who sees everything in terms of bringing it to life, whether that's costumes or creatures, knew what they were doing. Which leads us into our number one point, which is the best thing about this movie, is the sets. Whoever's responsible for the visual aspects nailed the look of the show. It's but the performances that really drag it down.
Yeah, I would take the fact that we're calling it sets even to the costumes as well.
Yeah,
the
it's
costumes,
the people that's in the costumes that are the problem.
Oh, absolutely.
But the costumes themselves are really indicative of each culture that is represented.
Yes, absolutely.
The Fire Nation looks more militaristic. The Earth looks more grounded and
simplistic,
earthy.
peasant-like.
Wow. But water.
And the water looks very Eskimo-esque.
People give this movie a hard time because of the nationalities, and rightly so.
Oh, yeah.
But take away the skin color and focus solely on the costumes, and it's really good the show, as well as the sets and the cities.
The sets, they're big and they're very detailed. And I mean, some of the lighting could have been a lot better, but you really feel like you're somewhere else, that you're not, someplace like that was long time ago here on Earth. No, you feel like you're on some other dimension of a place that this movie is supposed to take place in, and it's beautiful.
It's literally the cartoon come to life.
As far as sets
if you muted the movie, it would probably be a lot better if you just muted it, and then some of the action scenes would still look a bit hokey, but I think you could live with it because it looks just like it.
Oh, it does.
It's the performances that are just awful. So, have you guys seen The Last Airbender? If you have, what do you like and what do you hate about this movie? Comment below. If you like what you see and you want to see more, subscribe to the channel at 17 Movie Reviews, or you can find Josh at
The McNeely Show, and that's also the same that you would find me on Facebook and Twitter.
Same with 17 Movie Reviews on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Stay sharp, movie guys and gals.